Are you on the brink of burnout? We want to help you avoid burnout in the future and give you some well-worn tips from two people who've burned out many times. Let's talk about the importance of proactive rest in avoiding burnout. Because burnout is an extremely common thing among entrepreneurs.
You know that feeling. You're exhausted, your motivation is just absolutely gone, and you just want to set your entire laptop on fire.
Or you're just a floppy panda. Sometimes I feel like a floppy panda when I'm burning out.
I've never related more to anyone in my life than the floppy panda.
Yeah. We got some statistics for you. I don't know if you like stats, but we do. 29% of small business owners report feeling constantly stressed out by their work.
That makes me sad.
Yeah,
Constantly?
but how about this one? 41% of entrepreneurs report higher levels of anxiety, which can be a result of burnout. These are not good stats.
We don't like it. We figured this out pretty quickly when it comes to starting our businesses. So pretty early on in business, we decided we can't wait around for burnout to hit us before we actually allow ourselves to rest.
Which cat are you? Are you the cat bed or are you the cat couch?
For some reason, cat bed is really speaking to me more.
Okay. I don't feel like I could fit in a chair like that, but I would try my best.
So that's when we started treating proactive rest as burnout prevention. And the ways that we sort of did this were back in 2015, I remember it was the first time that we decided to take an entire month off.
We definitely didn't feel like we could either. It didn't feel like we could take a whole month off of work.
Definitely could not. It felt extremely radical at the time, but we went back to where we were both from in Florida, and I painted all month long instead of working on my business, and it actually opened up an entire new kind of career path for my business, which was amazing. By 2018, we had started taking summer sabbatical, and that was a break from our podcast and newsletter every summer, which we still continue to do to this day. And as a rule, we always take a rest week after a big project where we just take it easy and kind of recover and recharge. And we intentionally build in rest time into our daily schedule every single day.
Also, a pro tip here, if you're going to take a break after a big project, make sure you have like emails or other things queued up so it doesn't feel like just crickets. Like you just did a whole bunch of work and you maybe launched something and then people are like, wait, I bought this thing and I'm not hearing from you. Have something set up ahead of time so you can take that break and you have some automated tools working for you.
Definitely. And a lot of the time we're not even exhausted after a big project. Thankfully, we've figured out how not to be by now. However, this is the whole thing about proactive rest. We take that recharge time after so that we never get to the point where we are exhausted. However, even those choices couldn't save us from the worst burnout I experienced that hit us in 2019. This was kind of a confluence of a lot of different factors, including some anxiety issues and just different circumstances at the time. But it's definitely something I would describe as burnout. And that's me sitting in a dog bed.
So you really are that cat in the cat bed.
I was the cat.
Yeah.
And I had to take 6 months off where I couldn't work on the business at all. And that's what we want you to avoid. That experience in 2019 taught us that yes, we have to proactively rest, and we also have to scale back at the very first sign of overwhelm. And that's because the consequences of pushing through are actually far worse than those of taking a break. So just to illustrate this was our old way of working. We would start out high energy, maybe dip a little bit, maybe start getting a little stressed, a little overwhelmed, completely stressed, completely overwhelmed, more stressed, more overwhelmed. We're pushing it. And then ultimately we arrive at this breaking point where, oh no, can't do a single thing. That was me in 2019. Just have to completely take a break and can't even look at my laptop.
Feel free to raise your hand in the comments here on YouTube and just write swirly eyes if you can relate to the old way, because we can definitely relate to this. Yes. We've done it many times.
And so now what we try to do is the new way, which is we start out high energy, maybe on a project. And then before we even have a chance to get overwhelmed, we're peppering in some proactive rest so that we can recharge our batteries way early. Even then, maybe we still find ourselves in a project where things out of your control happen. You're finding that stress is hitting you. Maybe you're getting a little slightly overwhelmed. But the second that you have that overwhelm, boom, you just go ahead.
Right into rest mode.
You go right into rest mode so that you never hit that breaking point. You get a chance to recharge your batteries. You can come at it fresh. And again, you just are peppering in that proactive rest. And with the new way, we never ever hit that breaking point because at the first sign of red swirly eyes, we're out of there.
We're out. See ya.
And again, what we've learned is 6 months of healing is the consequence of pushing through versus like maybe 6 days of just proactive rest to really recharge those batteries periodically. That is so much more a cost that we're willing to pay versus the 6 months.
Now you might be wondering how to define your proactive rest routine. And we have 3 things for you. You decide when, you decide how, and you decide what. So starting with when and how will you block off time purely for rest? Our advice is to start small. So it may not feel like you have any time you can take off at all, but you can definitely start with something. So if we look at a little time spectrum here, it just starts with daily rest. And that would just be maybe 1 hour per day or even 30 minutes per day just to start with that first time of taking that proactive rest. Then when you look at your week, maybe you have 1 day per week when you can take off time to get rest in your week.
Weekends. Here's a wild
Ooh,
idea.
Wow, take a weekend off as an entrepreneur. That doesn't exist. Then project rest. So after a big project, like we said, take a whole week off. Schedule that week to be a more calm week. And then if you want to get fancy like us, you could start taking month-long sabbaticals and find what the cadence is in your business when a month off maybe seems the best. That's for us. The summers are the time to do that. And if you really want to take some time off, plan for a gap year. So really work yourself and your business off to a place where you can take off a whole year, kind of like we did last year. We were still working, but we were traveling full time, enjoying life, making tons of memories, still working, but it really did feel like kind of a year off from our business.
And if you want more tips on how to protect that sacred time, definitely check out our video on setting and protecting your non-negotiables. Next up, in defining your rest routine, how will you spend your rest time so that it's actually restorative? So for me, one of those rules is to take a walk outside for my daily rest and to not scroll on my phone, because if I'm taking time off from work but I'm scrolling on my phone, I'm not actually restoring my batteries at all. Or for you, it could be, okay, when I take a week off and I go on vacation, I'm going to read a fiction book. I'm not going to check my email because that's not actually restorative. Or maybe for you, it's just unstructured time. That's what feels most restorative and rest-like. The magic that makes it all happen is what systems need to be in place in order for you to comfortably step away. So the first thing is to define what are the minimum operating actions that are going to be happening when you're stepping back and taking that rest time. You need to know what those are and who's going to do that and how is that going to happen without you. Which means, do you have someone that you can delegate to? Maybe you're automating some of it. Maybe you have an assistant that steps in. Maybe you have a team member, but you want to decide those things so that you can feel fully comfortable taking that time away.
Maybe you have a very capable cat.
Robot?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out.
One or the other. And finally, you want to set clear expectations and boundaries with your audience or your team, kind of anyone involved. So that means setting up an autoresponder if people are used to hearing back from you via email, or telling your audience, like we do on our summer sabbatical, hey, we're taking time off from the podcast and newsletter. Here's when you can expect that we're coming back.
Don't email us ever. Just kidding. You can email us. We just won't reply.
So that was all about how to set your rest routine. But now you might be wondering, okay, how do we scale back at the first sign of overwhelm, since we told you that's a big part of how we avoid burnout? The first step relates to deadlines. So we try to leave buffer room and adjust regularly. So with every project, we actually leave more and more buffer room so that we don't feel like we're up against a deadline and it's going to overextend us. And then we just check in regularly and make sure, do we need to push a deadline back? A lot of these deadlines are self-imposed, so we have the flexibility to do that. Then when it comes to your standards and the quality that you put out, we don't let perfectionism overwork us.
Don't get into the danger zone.
Don't get into the danger zone if you saw our quality standards video. We will shift our quality standards for a project if it means protecting our mental health. And what we mean by that is we're always going to deliver a minimum quality standard. We've developed that over many years in business. But there does come a point where trying to perfect every little tiny detail is going to overextend us. And we will just decide what good enough is so that we don't get ourselves into a place of burnout. The biggest tip of all is that we check in regularly, and instead of waiting until things get here,
swirly-eyed territory.
Place,
yeah.
At the first sign of overwhelm, we will take action and we will proactively rest.
So all of these choices mean we very rarely experience burnout anymore, which is absolutely lovely. So don't wait until you're already experiencing burnout to prioritize rest. Don't become a floppy panda. Don't set your laptop on fire. Start prioritizing rest early.
And remember that a business that asks you to sacrifice your physical or mental health isn't a calm business.
No, it's not.
Thanks for watching our Calm Business Encyclopedia series, your A to Z guide for running a business that's predictable, profitable, and peaceful. If you want to find out how calm your business currently is, take our Calm Business quiz over at wanderingaimfully.com/score and get personalized ideas on how to reduce the chaos, stop scrambling for income, and end the cycle of burnout once and for all.
Calm Biz Quiz.